Welcome to Hub City Spokes, a podcast where we talk to entrepreneurs, artists, and other influencers. I'm Mike Jones, your host, and on this episode we have Booga Bradshaw, a hip-hop artist based in Lubbock, Texas. Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic, man. So let's just jump right into it. Where do you perform?
I perform at a lot of places around here in Lubbock. I started performing at the Oyster Bar in the Depot District. Mm-hmm. That's a legend venue here for hip hop artists. I don't think it's going anymore, but now there's like backstage. I performed at Jake's Back Room a few times. Blue Light, which was the first time ever I performed there.
Right, that's more known as like a live. Kind of a country bar,
correct,
right?
Yeah. So that was really dope to perform there. I performed at the Luca once. Mm-hmm. I think that might be it. If not, there's maybe just a couple more.
Right. Have you had opportunities to perform outside of Lubbock?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've performed in Chattanooga, Tennessee for their first annual hip hop festival. I have a friend down there who I made some connections with and just made that happen. I've performed in New Mexico numerous times. I've been on tour with some of the guys here from Lubbock, some of the other hip hop artists here, and we've performed in like New Orleans. We went Houston. That's Texas, but
I don't know.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. We performed there. That was cool. So yeah, a few places out of town.
Okay, that's cool. When you guys are touring, what does that look like? I mean, is that like you just fly to these places, perform, and fly back? What does that look like?
I wish. As independent artists, though, excuse me, what we did was we rented vehicles and just drove basically to the places. I think it was our first time ever touring too. Mm-hmm. So we were just going off of the little knowledge that we had. So we rented vehicles and we just got together and drove to those places, and the promoter booked us a hotel. So after that night was over, we got to the next city and same thing till it was over. But it was usually like a weekend thing, so it wasn't like we were on the road for like months. It was like maybe a Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing, and then we came back for a couple days, and then maybe we had a Tuesday, Wednesday, and then just it was a spur throughout the week.
Okay. I imagine that you guys had some pretty good times.
Yes, very memorable times. Yeah, it was fun.
What's a typical gig look like for you?
For me now, it's starting to pick up. So, really live. That's I like to keep it live. I like to engage with the crowd because I feed off their energy. So, really, whether it's 5 or 500. But now the numbers are starting to pick up a little bit more. But yeah, it's really exciting. So if you never came to a Booga Bradshaw show, mm-hmm. I'm always promoting my shows. I'm really starting to pick up now, having more shows, being booked for more shows this summer. So come out and catch me if you can.
Well, what's the best way for someone to learn when there will be a show and when you're performing?
The best way is just to follow me on social media. I'm really active on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snap. I have a Snapchat. I'm really not active on that, but I need to be more. I'm really old school, so the technology and all that. I'm really a get out there and talk to people face to face type of guy. But I'm learning to be more interactive online. So following me anywhere online, you're gonna find anything about me, or you can go to my website, boogabradshaw.com, and there's all my information there as well.
So I've actually visited your website.
Okay.
I wanted to learn a little bit about you and listen to some of your music, and I heard some things in there. You mentioned Lubbock and that you're in Texas and all that stuff. I thought it was fantastic. I am more of a, like, when you say old school, you're talking to an old guy.
Right, okay.
Right, and we were talking earlier about albums and stuff. I actually had, Run DMC cassettes.
Wow.
And Fat Boys cassettes and
old school
Beastie Boys. I actually had those when they came out,
That's
back late 80s and early 90s. So, and some of your stuff kind of reminded me a little bit of some of that.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it. Let me talk to you a little bit about your journey from, growing up. Where did you grow up?
I moved around a lot. Mm-hmm. I grew up mostly though in Amherst, Texas.
Okay.
That's where my grandmother raised me and a lot of my cousins, my brother. That's where all my family, or most of my family, my immediate family, is from Amherst, Texas.
Okay.
But I moved around a lot. I went to school in Sudan, Texas, Littlefield, Texas, Pampa, Texas for a number of years. And then I graduated from Floyd Data, Texas.
Right.
So I was raised basically all around the 806 area.
Right, right.
So that's why I rep that so heavy.
Yeah.
But Amherst is home, and then Lubbock is via. So
awesome. And so growing up, moving around a lot, I can identify with that. How did you go from there to realizing that you wanted to be a hip hop artist, and then taking the steps necessary to actually achieve that goal?
Right. I honestly didn't even know I wanted to be a hip hop artist until my second year of college. So growing up, my thing was sports. I was an average student, but my thing was sports. My first love was baseball, and then I grew and I stretched out. So then I started to, learn basketball and things like that. So in middle school and high school, basketball was my vehicle. It was my way out. So for the longest, that was it. And then I got into college, and it's a funny story because I would always try to freestyle with my roommates, and it was a no-go. Always, it was a no-go. So to see where I'm at now is crazy. But my second year in college, I actually ended up getting injured, so I wasn't able to play. Due to the doctors giving me the release and things, I wasn't able to play ball anymore. So I kind of fell off in school and things like that. But in the time that I was, in school, me and my roommates, in our free time, we would make beats, write to them, and then literally to ourselves, we would record them on the computer and just have them for ourselves to listen to. And then we would have, little get-togethers at our apartment or whatever, and show some friends. And eventually it got to the point to where people were like, yo, you're kind of good at this, you should pursue it a little more. So I started to, research some of the people that I looked up to, that I listened to and things like that. And I realized this is one, it's a really fun career to have, to be able to spread a message as well. Now that I didn't have basketball anymore, I was like, I could use, this as a platform to do the same exact thing, just use my voice now.
Right.
So that kind of picked up, and again, I researched more about the history of hip hop, the history of music in general. Started to gain more of an appreciation for it, and found my lane, found out what I wanted to talk about, and just took off from there.
That's awesome, man. Tell me about maybe some of the people that have helped you along the way, some mentors, or people that encouraged you, that kind of thing.
I have to say, I have a mentor now, brother Yoda Ben Israel. He really is a positive influence as far as just knowledge, not just you should do this or you should do that. He gives me knowledge to make my own decisions, and things like that. So I've really gained a lot of respect and a lot of knowledge of self through him. My family, of course, they've been, big influencers of mine. Just like I said, I really can't say I got haters, because everybody's always been so supportive of me. So my family's big on that. And a lot, really everybody that I hang out with, I would have to say.
Awesome. And does that extend basically to the community in general?
Correct. Yeah. The community, they rep me just as hard as I rep them. They love my music. They support it. They're honest with me when they don't like something. It's yo, this isn't as hard as that other one, but I like it, I'm rocking with it, but this is what you're capable of. So it gives me, feedback to go and do what I know I can do and things like that.
Okay. What about a plan, right? I mean, so obviously, and in entrepreneurial circles, circus too, but in entrepreneurial circles, we have this thing that we call the pivot, the entrepreneurial pivot, right? And it's okay, I planned on doing this. I found out something else is better, or what I'm doing isn't going to work, so I'm going to try something else. And it sounds like you went through that process. Right. From that point to reaching where you're at now, did you have a step-by-step plan? I mean, how did you work that?
To get to where I am now?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. My plan was to always record good music and to stay writing and just staying consistent. And so I think I got caught up in focusing on too much of that plan. I think it was getting too deep into it instead of just respecting, you know, the flow of things and letting whatever was supposed to happen come to me. So the plan was step by step, go to the studio every day. You gotta make sure you got this many songs written a week. And it's not a bad thing, you know, if you can handle that. I'm just the type of person that I just like to let things flow, because I think it's more creative for me when it comes to me, and I'm able to do it right then and there, opposed to forcing myself to do it. Like, I got mad respect for this guy out in Arizona. His name is Deli Everyday, and he's a rapper too. And he recorded a song and put it out every day of the year. So to think like how I like to work, you know, just let it flow and things like that. And then how he worked is like, yo, he was pressured and forced to put out a song every single day. It's like, yo, you got to respect both sides of it, but you got to be able to find what's best for you, you know, and do it that way. And I was able to find what's best for me. And instead of trying to force myself to do what somebody else did, or another artist saying, yo, I was in the studio every day, I got to do this, I found out it's best for me to just let it come to me. And if I take a week to write a song, then the song's going to come out better. And that's what I want to do. I want to make every record I make, I want it to be a great record. I just don't want to record a cool song and put it out. Like, I want to make a great record.
You touched a little bit about being in the studio every day. Do you make that your habit?
I do. I don't record every day now, but I do try to get it in that vibe at least. You know, if it's nighttime when I'm done, put my daughter to sleep or whatever, or while she's at school, I make sure I go inside the studio and I do some work, check emails or something like that. I do try to get in that zone every day. Yes, sir.
Do you have any other daily habits that you might do that you think have contributed to your success?
Oh, definitely. Major shout out to my guy, Gabe Campbell. He's my photographer. He put me onto this book called, what is it called? Man, I wish I could look it up on my phone right now.
Go ahead.
Like Capture the Day, I think, something like that. It's about basically owning the morning so you can own the rest of the day. Oh, okay. So my morning routine, as far as like getting up and drinking water with lemon and some Himalayan salts in it every morning, I see has really helped me. Taking a shower, and when I'm done, you know, with the hygiene part, going cold, you know, for a couple minutes. And I've noticed, like, I think it was like after the first couple of days, I told him, I texted him, I was like, yo, I have so much energy, like my mind is straight, it's clear.
Yeah, so I think mental toughness thing,
right,
too.
exactly. Yeah. So I think that's really helped my mental as well.
Yeah.
So that's another routine thing I do every morning. Again, trying to read that book, getting in the studio whenever I can, even if it's not recording, getting in that zone. So yeah.
Are there any other books you've read that have kind of helped you along your way? Yeah,
I read, I think it was like maybe last year, I read this book called Contagious. I think it was on marketing or something like that. I don't really remember what it was on, but it's a great book. And one of my idols in the music industry, rest in peace, who just passed, Nipsey Hussle, he was one of the guys who put me onto that book. And to see how he actually used an idea out of that book to transform his whole brand and movement, and to see it work was just like, wow, like reading really can. And it was crazy because, like, yo, I read that same exact book. I could have done that same exact thing if I would have executed in time, you know?
Right.
So it's a thing of like, yo, you gotta, like, reading is really a great thing to do, and a great way to obtain more knowledge to help you in any endeavor.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one of the main problems in any kind of, you know, endeavor that you're doing is you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Right. And that's not just being flippant. I mean, there are things out there that you don't even know exist that could help you or potentially hurt you. Was the book Contagious, Why Things Catch On?
Yes, I think so.
By Jonah Berger. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Great recommendation. All right. And being in the studio every day, tell me a little bit about some of the the ecosystem resources here for musicians?
We have a few studios here. Studio 19, they're really dope. I've been there a few times. Amusement Park Studios was one of the like really first big studios I was in and recorded at. Scott Ferris's, man, he taught me a lot. He let me sit in on one of his mixing sessions, so that was dope. And there's a lot of people, as far as like artists, not even hip hop artists, just artists in general, musicians that have their own studios. That if you're, in the loop, you can reach out to them, get some recording time or mixing, whatever you need. I think that might be it. But that was a real big thing. Like when I was first coming up, it was hard to find like that outlet to get somewhere to record, like a studio here in Lubbock. And then when I did find one, it was hard to find someone that knew the sound, the hip hop sound, because we're just now starting to evolve. So people were having to like outsource more, to maybe some engineers in Atlanta or Dallas, Houston, where that sound has been, people know what it should sound like to those fans. So here it was hard at first, but now I think there's been more people in those studios to help engineers around here know the sound better. So I think that's really helpful as well.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about maybe some other ecosystem resources. In addition to the studios and just people helping you out and encouraging you and that kind of thing. Have you ever had any interaction with any of the governmental or like volunteer clubs or like here at the Texas Tech Hub, or anything like that, to give you, promotion or anything?
Absolutely. Lita, of course, you guys have helped numerous times. I've done interviews with Ryan, that's my guy. And like, what is it? Civic Lubbock. They put me on the Lubbock Music Now album 2018, I believe. So that was huge for me. And then for him to put on that show, for me to perform in front of fans that I probably never perform in front of, that's dope. I can't think of anyone else or any other organization off top. Ladette Butler on the east side who does like events with the kids over there and after school programs and things like that. I've performed at a basketball event that he's had over there. So he's put me on to that, that side, who I'm not very familiar with. But I think that would be a big thing for artists, hip hop in general, to have more of those organizations, try to help out our culture, our community, as far as like the hip hop community, to be able to do things like have more shows and things like that. That would be really cool. Great.
What about, you just actually talked about one of these things, going over there and helping Lidit's organization to do their stuff. What are some other opportunities for musicians and artists in general to give back to the community here?
I think there's plenty of opportunity. You just got to make it. Right. For me personally, I felt like that's been my whole life goal, is to give back to my community. So I've basically put myself out there to put myself in position to be seen by organizations like you, to be able to come talk to you, to put the idea out to, whatever concerns my community might have in the hip hop community, I can bring to you and things like that. So that's one, maybe.
That's real good. Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, I would too. Yes. And are you plugged into any of the entrepreneurial type resources that especially Texas Tech has initiated or anything like that?
I just signed a marketing and advertising deal partnership with this company called What's New Lubbock, and they're really getting behind me to help me get my brand and my face seen more at Texas Tech specifically, right? Because that's something I really want to do, is like take over that crowd and get them involved in the movement. So we've partnership together to do that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to invite you to something real quick here, just kind of as an aside. Here in this building, right downstairs there, we do it's a national organization called 1 Million Cups.
Okay.
And the idea is we're having a cup of coffee with another entrepreneur. Right. And so we get entrepreneurs up there and they have 6 minutes to kind of give their story. It's not a sales pitch. It's all about their entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
And then there's a 20-minute question and answer session. And as far as I'm concerned, all they really need is 30 seconds of telling their story, and then the questions really kind of do the rest. But I would like to invite you to attend 1 Million Cups anytime that you want to. We do it the first Wednesday of every month here at the Texas Tech Innovation Hub. And then I would like you also I'd like to invite you to present your story, your entrepreneurial journey to the people that attend there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I think it would be a great opportunity for the audience and for you as well. What do you do for fun around here?
For a young cat who's old school, it's hard, because I really try to stay out of the nightlife scene. But again, like I like to have fun too. So any like comedy events going on around town, I'm really into that. I have a few friends, Timothy K-Loke, the comedian, that's a really known comedian I know around here. He's really cool. So comedy events, any other music shows, like concerts, paintings. I have a friend who owns his own paint shop, Alberto Delgado, right off 19th by Lubbock, I believe. He does like paint days, or I forget what it's called, but that's really big for our community as far as the hip hop culture, to be able to just go and do things like that, upper echelon type of things, I guess. That's not really just, so things like that. Let's see, what else do I do for fun? I'm a solo type of guy, so I like my personal space. So really just being in the studio, being at home, being with my daughter, that's fun for me. But anytime I'm out, I'm trying to do something like that, like go to one of the paint parties that Albert's is having, go to a comedy show, go to a concert. That's really what I would like to do. Right.
Now, how often are you able to do that? And not just you in general, but like if I wanted to go somewhere tonight.
It would probably be a little difficult, because that only really happens every now and then. It's not like something like, First Friday Art Trail everyone knows about. There's nothing like, oh, well, every so-and-so, the comedians get together and have a show here, and the next week it'll be here, or anything like that. Or there's a certain hip hop show that happens every once a month that somebody puts on that everybody knows is going to be great and big. So everyone goes and supports. It's not like that. Like a lot of the time, the artists and I mean like musicians, painters, comedians, we're usually putting on those events ourselves. So we're like basically promoting to our only friends, and then hopefully they promote to their friends. So it's very rare, but hopefully we can change that soon.
It's been my experience that really, if I was not going to limit myself to genre, say, I could almost go out any night of the week in Lubbock and hear a musician. And I think that you could probably, if you wanted to, perform every night in Lubbock, Texas.
Absolutely. Yeah. Most likely. Yeah. It's all about, like I said, it's all about resources. And I think a lot of it is me personally, Booga Bradshaw. I put myself in the position to have confidence to be able to go into venues and know how to talk to people and set my own shows up, opposed to wishing and hoping somebody comes to me and sets it up, or having a manager go out and do that. And then just knowing how to set up a proper show, or just a proper event in general. I could probably definitely do that, because there's an ample amount of venues and just places that you can go to that people love music around here. But hip hop in general, very rare. But me specifically, personally, I could probably do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your what you've learned, right? You were talking about, how now to go to a venue and set that up, right? So Obviously, you didn't know that
Before.
immediately straight out of the gate, right? So let's talk a little bit about maybe some lessons you've learned that, a young artist could benefit from.
You can't give up. One, you can't quit. You can't let somebody tell you how you should do what you love to do. I feel like if they're not in your shoes 24/7, then they really don't. They have just an outside opinion, which, you can listen to, but you don't have to really take heed to. Never give up. Research is everything. You can't just sit online all day and say, oh, I seen my favorite artist do this, so I'm gonna go and do this. Like, you gotta read more and be able to learn how to stay ahead of the game. Or even, that's like way, way far ahead of the game, because nowadays with technology and things like that, you gotta set yourself apart from everybody else in the world that's trying to be a rapper or trying to be this or trying to be that. So you really got to find your lane, and then just being genuine and being able to make opportunities for yourself, and also make opportunities for other people too that might be where you were a few years ago. And so that's my ultimate goal, what I'm trying to do now. I've learned a lot by just experience, never giving up, researching, learning more, talking to more people like yourself. I would have never in a million years thought I would be in here talking to, another entrepreneur like yourself. But like I said, I've put myself in the position to do things like that and learn to be able to speak and have conversations in environments like that. So
that's great. What are some things that you messed up that maybe you can save another person the trouble of making that mistake?
Excuse me. Some of the things I messed up. Let's see.
I think you're getting nervous.
A lot. I can't even begin. Just thinking I know everything.
Okay.
Basically, thinking because I tried something once and it didn't work, and not going back to it and figuring the solution out, just immediately going on to something else, basically quitting. Mm-hmm. There's probably dozens of books about that. There's a one that was recommended to us at a church last Sunday, mm-hmm. and it's called The Dip by Seth Godin. Okay.
I don't know if you know him or not.
Sounds familiar.
But it talks about being in that dip and having the perseverance to wait until you get that sharp climb out of the dip. So that's my recommendation.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely have to try that out.
Yeah,
because man, that's something I love to do.
And all the books that he writes very short, real easy reads. Perfect, stick to one topic. So it's not like
sleep.
Yeah. All right. So, what experience have you had? Right. That's like, this is a lifelong dream of mine to do this, and everybody should, get goosebumps mm-hmm. when they get this opportunity. Experience you've had that I should have, or someone else should have.
An experience that I've had.
Like, I can only imagine the first time you were able to get up on stage somewhere and there's a crowd, something.
Let me see. I think my big, performing for me is cool. Like, I love to do that because it's fun, but it's like goosebumps. Mm-hmm. It gives me goosebumps when I'm able to be done with my performance and people love it. And then I can talk to them like people, like, like a crowd. Like, I always, the end of my concerts, I like to always do a little thing where I tell people, we should be more open-minded, change the way we think so we can change the world together. Worldwide, that's my thing. So that's really what gives me goosebumps, when I'm able to interact with people and have them receive my message through me actually speaking to them in a conversation other than through music. Mm-hmm. So that's an experience I've had at a couple of my shows. That's
great. Yeah, I like that you do that. Regarding the business side of things, I can't imagine that it's a one-man show all the time, right?
Definitely not.
Tell me about some of the team that you have around you that helps you to do what you do.
Right now, I have my brother Teddy Davis, Big Country Ted, who's also another artist here. Himself, he's an artist, but he also helps me with, we help each other, just basically get through small things like, yo, you got your set list ready, you've been practicing, you've been rehearsing, yo, I got this connect that got shows in Dallas, you know, you should hit them up, or you need your song mastered. I just heard about, you know, this online service that you can do, things like that. I have a online marketing manager out in Dallas, Caleb Gonzalez. Shout Caleb Gonzalez. If you need, your business needs grown or growth, he'll definitely help you with that and give you knowledge as well. He helps me with the online presence. He's like, yo, Boog, you gotta post, yo, like, cause I'm like, I'll go for months and forget that I even have the dang thing.
Sure.
You know, Instagram or whatever it is. And he's like, yo, you gotta post, we gotta interact. Everybody that comments, you gotta comment back, you gotta say something. So he's my guy that helps me stay on top of that. My cousin, who is kind of like my road manager or my promoter here, he's always making sure that he tweets out every new song that I have. He's always getting into meeting new people to maybe book me more shows and things like that. So he's more of the street team by himself. I have a producer I work with a lot here, Phil Eubanks. He goes by EFG Beats, who produced my last EP, all of it. So he's actually like, you know, a brother more than the producer. Like we just hang out and kick it, but he really helps me stay on top of being in tune with what's going on in the game, the sounds of instruments that people are using nowadays to help me. Maybe I could use in my beat or something like that. And of course studio time. So that's where I record a lot of my music too. So yeah, we got a team. We got a little team.
That's
going
awesome.
on.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the future for Booga Bradshaw. So, like, what do you want to do when you grow up, you know?
Right. Man, I always tell, it would be cool to do music, like to be a musician for life, right? But that's just, for me, unrealistic. Like, I look at Jay-Z now, and he's almost 50, if not older. And he's still, you know, he's like a spotty artist now because he's gained the notoriety to where he doesn't have to really put out an album every year, but he can get on a song and be a feature on a song that is probably one of the biggest songs that year.
Sure.
But on the other side of his musicianship, he's an entrepreneur, like one of the most genius guys I've known.
First billionaire in hip hop.
Yeah. So to see like where he's gone from music to his business, that's crazy to see.
Right.
So
and Dr. Dre did the same.
Yeah, same thing. So I'm sorry, could you repeat that question for me? I got lost talking about Jay-Z.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah. So basically that's what I want to do. I want to be able to use this platform. For now, I love doing music. I love writing music. I'll do it for as long as I can consistently. And then I eventually want to push this new brand and this new business I have in mind, as far as having like a team of music consultants, a team of like engineers, a team of people who are in publishing, and bringing this type of company to a place like Lubbock or somewhere in the 806 and be able to help out hip hop artists or pop artists, R&B, any type of musician really, to gain that knowledge so they don't have to go and search 10 years. You know, they know like, oh, well, I'm a musician. I heard about this company that has all this. I can go and talk to them. You know, it's not just a studio. It's not just this. I can go talk to some people about what do I need to do next to further my career. So that's what I want to do. I want to do that. You know, I want to be a community activist and things like that. I just want to be a positive light basically to the world.
That's inspiring. I appreciate that. Yeah. And then really, I'm going to ask you a question here that I've asked others, and that would be, so knowing that I'm going to be talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and different types of influencers, and they're going to be sitting in that seat where you're sitting.
Right.
Is there a question that you would like to ask any of them in general?
Man, that's hard.
Yeah. Well, tell me about it. I'm on this side of the microphone all the time.
I really just like to hear other people's stories, really. So I would ask them probably the basic question, like, you know, what did you do? What step did you take to get to the point to where you took off?
Right.
I don't want to know, you know, what you did in that time. I don't want to know like how you did it, the people's, the names. I just want to know that like for me, it was whatever, you know, that little step in between that helped me get to where I'm like, okay, now I can boost it up.
Right.
Whatever it took, that little step right there, or whatever needed to happen in that little moment. What inspired you to just pick it up an extra notch and not give up?
Right.
Basically.
No, that's a great point. The jumping off point,
Yes.
the point of basically committing to doing this new thing. Yeah, that's an amazing time in someone's journey.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be great to learn about that. That's a fantastic answer. All right, last question. What can we, and I'm going to steal this from 1 Million Cups. We always ask this as the last question. Obviously here in the community, we've got a lot of resources, from just people willing to help you, your family, on up through government agencies, organizations like LEDA and the Chamber of Commerce and Texas Tech and the Innovation Hub. And, I'm a veteran, so I'm involved in veteran opportunities and all kinds of different things like that. What is it that this community here in West Texas can do for Booga Bradshaw in the hip hop industry?
Unite, come together for the bigger picture, understanding of it's not really about I'm trying to be the biggest artist here. I'm trying to be the first one to do that. Like my thing was always like growing up in Amherst, Texas, driving down that main street, seeing all those abandoned buildings. My thing was just like, I wish this was like, I had never been, but I'd always seen it on TV, like California or like New York. Like I always wanted this area to be known for, something, or to just have more resources for people, So that's like more resources. Dang, what was it? What was the question again? I got lost.
What can the resources that we have now do for you?
Yeah, like us coming together and basically, I was talking to my cousin about this the other day. Being able to go up to someone that you don't think that you would normally go up to and talk to them and ask them, I seen that you do this. Is there any way that being comfortable outside of your normal environment and appreciating what everyone in the area has going on.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing that we could do is not be so divided, even in, just amongst ourselves, I guess. That's a lot.
Right. No, and I think that's a great goal. And I think that a lot of people would be surprised with the reception they got if they did that.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, I think people are generally good.
Right.
And the people here are certainly generally good.
I agree.
And definitely open to meeting anybody and hearing and learning from anybody. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, sir. It's been great talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And let's stay in touch and come on by 1 Million Cups sometime.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I will. I'll definitely be there.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, man.
Hub City Spokes is presented by the Lubbock Economic Development Alliance and produced in partnership with Hamill Brothers Studios. A special thanks to the Innovation Hub here at Texas Tech University for hosting us. To hear more from our creators and catalysts, visit lubbockeda.org/podcast.